Okay, we're going to call this Finance Committee meeting to order. Present are council members Floyd, Frazier, that's A-I-Z-E-R, Frazier, Cost, Bub, and Marmee. First item on the agenda is an ordinance to provide for the issuance of $5,040,000 of bond anticipated notes in anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purpose of refunding outstanding bond anticipation notes previously issued for the purpose. They did that twice. The cost of replacement of water, main, and service lines and all necessary appurtenances, including but not limited to hydrants, valves, and fittings, and to provide additional funds to pay for the water systems improvements and declaring an emergency.
This is a renewal of a one-year bond anticipation note. $4 million of this was for the water lines around the square, and the additional $1 million was added last year for an upgrade at the water plant. I think the plan is to renew this for 2 more years and then start decreasing the principal as we renew, so this should be eliminated in probably 5 or 6 years.
Motion.
Second. I have a motion by Floyd, second by Frazier. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes 5-0. Next item is an ordinance providing for the issuance of not to exceed $1.15 million various purpose refunding bonds and declaring an emergency.
The next 4 items will go together, and it's a renewal of past debt. This will be renewed at a lower rate of interest and will save the city about just under $600,000 over the course of the issuance. I discussed this with the mayor a few weeks ago and members of the administration along with our underwriter, and this is something we've done in the past with other issues, so we can address these one at a time if you'd like to.
If you want to just do them all and then we can go through, and then if anybody has any questions,
okay.
That's fine.
It's pretty simple, actually. The first one, 1735, were various purpose issues such as additional cost to the police building, the ice arena, and Evans Boulevard. Those will be rolled together, and they will their share of the $5 million bond issue will be $1.150 million. Second one is a storm sewer from 2011. We have the opportunity to renew that debt, roll it into a new one for additional savings. The third one is the landfill. There are actually 2 issues for the landfill. This is the first one. The second one is not recallable yet. It was just issued, I think, last year. And the final one is another storm sewer project from 2009. So we'll roll those all together into a $5 million issue, and like I said, it'll save just under $600,000 over the course of the debt.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Motion by Floyd, second by Bub, and this is just for the first one, 17-35 for the 1.15. Any questions or discussion?
I have a question. What's the term for that $5 million? Are we looking for a 3-year, 5-year, or we'll group these together?
As these are grouped together for the $5 million, it's going to be a 17-year issue. Some of these will drop off before then, but it's just all part of the package. And
then what are the interest rates for? Is it 3%? Is that what's?
No, it's going to be lower than that. I think it's going to be around 2.56.
Any other questions?
Yeah, and then are we gonna? So we grouped this in a 17-year term, and I'm not a bond guy. Mm-hmm. So do we have to renew this?
No. This is solid. This will be finished.
Okay, that's it.
All right. Any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes 5-0. Next is the one for the $1.2 million for the storm sewer improvement. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Floyd, second by Frazier. Questions or discussion on that one? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, that motion passes 5-0. Next is the one for $1.05 million for the landfill. I'd entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Floyd, second by Frazier. Questions or discussion on the landfill? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that motion passes 5-0. And finally, the one for $1.6 million for the stormwater improvement. I entertain a motion.
Motion.
I have a motion by Cost, a second by Floyd. Questions or discussion on that motion for the storm sewer? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $5,400 for compensated absences.
Good evening. This is a termination comp and vacation payout for an employee who resigned.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Bub, second by Floyd. And by the way, to let the committee know, all items this evening are being expedited for various reasons. So, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $700 for fire safety supplies.
This is a grant to buy Nomex hoods so that every firefighter has more than one Nomex hood. So after they come out from a fire and it's full of carcinogens, they can just dump it, put on a fresh one, or if they change tanks, they can change hoods at the same time. It's cancer prevention.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Floyd, second by Frazier. Questions or discussion?
What's the decontamination process for the hood? So
There's great big washers down at the fire station and they wash them thoroughly.
Okay.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is someone once again cut off a scram unit and had to pay for it.
I would like to correct the record that the $175 just for a cut strap.
Oh,
The
okay.
unit's $1,400, but we
Yeah.
got the unit back and it's operable. Just want to replace the
Did
the cut
auditor
strap.
already leave? I hate to cut you off. Did Steve already leave? Is he back there? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and here's the reason why. I mean, it's literally almost once every other month you guys are coming here because somebody has to buy theirs. I don't know if there's a way for us to put this in next year's budget to where we have an appropriation, a budgeted amount for this, knowing that we only are going to use it if we get the money. Does that make sense? Sure. Because literally, they're having to come here, and
Yeah.
why have a member of the team come here if we know it's going to happen? It's happened for the last 15 years I've been
Do
here.
enough for 3 or 4 or 5.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe 5.
Yeah. So,
I'll make a note of that.
trying to save
Thank
some
you.
time for you.
Thank you.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Floyd, second by Frazier. Not that you don't enjoy coming and seeing us, though. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the final item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $4,851.10.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. These were POs from 2016 in the building grounds maintenance account that I did not use. I'm just asking for them to be reappropriated in 17, and if we don't use them in 17, what we'll do is we'll come and ask you to unappropriate so it rolls back into the fund for the carryover.
Second.
Motion by Floyd, second by Frazier. Questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And with that, this committee stands adjourned. Next up is service.
All right, we'll call the Service Committee meeting to order. Those present are myself, Rath, Cost, Bub, Frazier, and Floyd. Up first, consider Resolution 17-63, a resolution authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service to accept bids and sell certain surplus personal property now owned by the City of Newark, Ohio, declaring that such property is no longer needed for any municipal purpose and declaring an emergency. Mr. Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We would like to have an auction at the service complex on October 28th. The reason for the emergency is we need to meet some deadlines for advertisement and public notices. Got about 81 vehicles, got some bicycles, office furniture, and various items from different departments.
Okay.
Motion.
Motion by Cost,
Second.
seconded by Floyd. Any questions for the committee?
I have one. When's the day of the auction?
28th, October. Hey, if you haven't been down to an auction, come on down. Hang out with me Saturday morning.
Been there, done that.
Come on back down. Come on.
Any questions for the audience?
Pretty exciting down there.
All right, seeing no further questions, all those in favor of passing this out to full council signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That passes 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodes. Up next, we'll consider resolution number 17-64, authorizing the Director of Public Service to prepare and submit applications to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvements Program and to execute contracts. Mr.
Yes, sir.
Moorhead.
Thank you. Pretty self-explanatory. Every year about this time we do this grant or loan request. This year we're planning a grant request that will be for 2 projects. We've been cooperating with the City of Heath and the Port Authority and Licking County Engineer. The first project that we want to participate in is the improvement of the railroad crossing on Thornwood Drive. This would smooth out the grade to it, replace the crossing, and also put lights and gates up there. And the total project cost is between $900,000 and $1 million. And our participation would be a grant request of $250,000. Heath is asking for $250,000. I believe the county engineer is asking for $150,000, and then the remainder is anticipated to be funded by the Ohio Rail Development Corporation and then the Jobs Ohio program.
So this would be no out-of-pocket expense on us. It would be a grant that we would apply.
Exactly.
Okay.
The second project that we will apply for will be a street resurfacing project. We have historically received between $450,000 to $550,000 a year from this program. So to make up the difference, we will look at a street resurfacing project in the $200,000 to $250,000 range. That's only going to get us about 4 or 5 of the more major streets on the list, but it's $200,000 to $250,000 that we didn't have. So, any questions?
I'm a little confused.
Okay.
So we're
You can
asking for a $250,000 grant for the railroad crossing.
Yep.
And that's going to take $250,000 away from our streets. Paving?
Yep.
And why would we do that?
Well,
Why is that the best interest in Newark?
the railroad crossing is something that needs to be done for the improvement of Thornwood Drive, and it's we've got an opportunity now with the Ohio Rail Development Commission putting in money for the railroad crossing, Jobs Ohio putting in money with the Port Authority, and with Heath and Licking County also cooperating at this time. So the idea was, while everybody is interested in doing that project right now, let's cooperate with it. So it's all about timing. Thornwood Drive, we're going to have to take our pieces of trying to improve it on down to the south whenever we can. And of course, the new Thornwood Crossing Bridge will be a big thing. But once the bridge is constructed, and then we're going to have to take pieces on down Thornwood to get through the rest of the city of Newark. So
when they do this railroad project, railroad crossing project rather,
yep.
The crossing will be satisfactory to plug into all of the other pieces.
Correct. Yep. It'll be widened out. The grades will be designed for a wider roadway down through there for higher speeds, and then there'll be lights and gates at the crossing also.
Well, there are now. There absolutely are now.
Are there? Okay.
Absolutely are now.
They'll be upgraded. I think you're right. I think they do get moved out.
Yeah, I go over that crossing twice a day, every day.
Okay.
Monday through Friday.
I don't.
That's the way I would work.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Floyd,
I'll second.
seconded by Frazier. Any other questions for the committee?
So I have a question. So technically, the railroad crossing is in Heath, correct?
It's actually split. The project area is the northwest corner would be in the city of Newark. The northeast corner is in Heath. The southeast corner is in Heath. And I believe the southwest corner is in Union Township.
And that's why the county engineer's office is doing a piece as well?
Yes.
And so are they committed for future projects to finish Thornwood holistically? Is that something that's on the radar for Heath, the county, and our department?
We won't be participating, the city of Newark won't be participating further on south because that'll be in the county and Heath to deal with. However, we've got a pretty big chunk to go from the railroad crossing north, which will be at 100% our cost.
So really this is the border?
This is the border, yeah. This is where everybody comes together.
Any questions from the audience? Mr. Marmee?
I guess it's more of a comment, just to kind of answer his questions. It would definitely be to their best interest, and they'll get more out of it if they complete after we get to that certain point, and they have been part of the discussion all along, so they're well aware of what our intent is and what their possibilities are, and trust me, they're going to probably benefit from it just because of where it's going to connect out towards the industrial park where they get a lot of revenue.
Yep.
So it will be mainly their benefit to do that.
Okay. Any other questions from the audience? All right, seeing no further questions, all those in favor of passing this on to council, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes 5-0. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Flores. Up next will be ordinance number 17-39, authorizing and directing the Newark City Safety Director to certify to the Lincoln County Auditor a sum of $165,262.06 incurred by the Newark City Property Maintenance Department with respect to property maintenance violations to be placed as a lien upon certain parcels of real property situated in the city of Newark, Ohio.
You
Mr. Ball.
explained it right there. If you don't pay your property maintenance fines, eventually we will send it to the auditor who will apply it to your taxes, who will take payment in the form of cash, check, credit card, or your property. That's what we're doing here. There's a complete list of properties and amounts.
Fair enough.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Floyd, seconded by Bub. Same type of legislation we've had come through here over.
Each year. Yes, sir.
Any questions for the committee?
I have one. So as far as the dollar amounts, they seem to be lower than other years, so we've had some astronomical ones in the past. So are things getting better? Is that what we're seeing, where people are reacting towards the property maintenance in a positive way, and we don't have to have reoccurring fees, or what is the trend when it comes to property maintenance and property maintenance bonds?
To some degree, but last year, for whatever, because of the additional quarter last year, I believe you ended up with more fines because you were actually getting more time in the fines last year, so that it was simply larger. And Joe Paul anticipated that question and let me know why.
Yeah.
This year's list was a little bit smaller. However, they are collecting more money than in years past. We established that early on this year. So both, I guess.
Any questions from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor of passing this on to full council signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Mr. Paul, appreciate your time. And the service committee will stand adjourned. And that completes our committee meetings for this evening.